I'm Sarah Hall. I am product manager on the calling group, specifically my team, the manager team. We oversee most of the pre-call, post-call. What does that mean? So essentially anything regarding like setup, number acquisition, all the way to like analyzing your call data, my team oversees. We have 3 teams on the group. So anything fully covering from our first party, which is calling inside of the HubSpot platform, all the way to our calling apps integrations. So all of our teams cross paths in one way or another. And we're super excited to dig in a little bit more today and learn from you users as far as how you're adopting calling and how you use it for your sales and service teams. Before we hop into the question, this is more, ideally we'd like to have an open dialogue, kind of figure out how you all are using it and just ask some open-ended questions. But want to give you a very quick highlight into the current functionality of HubSpot calling. If there are any novice users on here, just to kind of give you a background, or you haven't fully dug into the HubSpot calling functionality yet. Currently, the way that our features are set up, we do solve for most of your use cases. If you have a team that needs to use calling, so team calling in the inbox and help desk. We also have the ability for inbound and outbound calls, those basics, ability to do call holds, call transfers is in the works. Also for automation side, we have IVR, which just launched into public beta. We have call summaries, next best actions, which is in the works as well. And then some of your basics for call recording and transcription. On the other side, we also have integrations. There are over 100 calling app integration partners that we have currently. And then we just launched the ability for calling apps in help desk. So very excited about the grounds we're making with that. And then outside of all of those pieces, we also have just your basic customization from voicemail to working hours, naming your numbers, our call analytics reporting, and a lot more that we're continuing to work on for the 2024 roadmap. So the roadmap I'm going to save for the last part. We'll kind of cover what's to come. I know everyone's excited about like what's next, what are you building, how else can we make calls? So just want to give you a quick preview of what's currently available, and then we'll hop into your use cases. Everyone excited? I know I can see the virtual excitement, so I'm excited. I can't see your faces, but awesome. Let's do it. All right, so hopping in, obviously you can just kind of raise your hand, first come, first serve, whoever wants to give some feedback, but I'd love to kind of start with just the business structure, learning a little bit more about the nature of everyone's business here. So raise of hands, who wants to hop in and kind of tell me a little bit more about the mix of your business, how large are your teams, and what's a typical makeup of your calls?
Also, I'd love to just see in the chat if you want to drop in, are you using it, are you not? I think that'd be a useful thing for us to know. And if you're using it, yeah, inbound, outbound, both, sales, support, air call, just call. Oh yeah, if you're using an integration. Ooh, Waylon, that looked like a hand, Waylon. I'm gonna pull you on. Everybody else keep talking in the chat. Love that.
Sarah, somebody asked if you can make it presentation mode so it's a little larger.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Perfect.
Awesome. Did Waylon come on or no?
Waylon, I brought you on. I don't know if you were actually interested.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Waylon.
Sorry, I did not expect to be, live on air. I had to run in and grab my mic.
No worries. Put you on the spot. But yeah, we'd love to hear. So you said your team is a small team of 7 sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess if you kind of walk through what's the mix of that, how often are you all calling, volume, seasonality?
So the majority of our calls are outbound right now. We've got 3 BDRs who are doing a lot of kind of, the classic cold call outbound motion. We've got them all set up with HubSpot numbers. We're actually planning on doing some more inbound motion, which is why I'm here actually, because we wanted to get an inbound number set up that we could kind of route through the team. And with the new help desk drop, I wasn't honestly super sure the best kind of way to do that so far. But yeah, we use a different app for call recording and for transcriptions and summary and analysis. But we're trying really hard to keep it all in the HubSpot ecosystem so we can save on additional software cost and keep things simple for the team. But in addition to that, we've got the service team who will probably be wanting to move on to HubSpot numbers eventually, but there's only 2 or 3 of them for now. So
okay. Thank you for detailing that. It sounds like just from a mix of your response, Waylon, and some of the things we're kind of seeing in the chat is porting a major blocker for a lot of teams. It sounds like people aren't using it yet, or they're using a calling integration in terms of bringing their teams over. I don't know how accurate that is. Just want to kind of gauge that from everyone's responses from the first question.
There's also a question in the Q&A on when porting is going to be an option. So
Yes, I saw Chad's question. We're gonna answer that at the end of the roadmap. Very positive news for it, but yeah, it sounds like the mix of the teams is relatively pro plus from what I'm gauging. There are some maybe smaller 20 persons teams, but it seems like a majority are either still using a calling integration or not moving on yet due to porting. I just want to gauge if that feels accurate.
I think that's right. Chad, I don't know if you want to come on, but speaking on your behalf, Chad's company is pretty cool. They specialize in helping roofers use HubSpot. And so, you know, if you've got your service phone number for your roofing company in all the local phone books and on your business cards and on bus stop ads or whatever, changing that number would be really hard.
He just made a great point in the chat that something else we're looking at as well is SMS and MMS. I would love to be able to enable my reps to use that, you know, with the same number, because it'd be kind of tough to juggle multiple numbers and communicate with customers in that way.
Call me on this one, text me on that one.
Yeah,
yep,
that makes sense. Hey, Chad.
Howdy, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah, porting I think is going to be a big blocker for a lot of people, just like we were talking about, because you know, well, porting is like a nightmare. I think, you know, a lot of people, like, we originally started out trying to use AirCall, and I think we're circling all the way back to AirCall because we had one customer had a bad experience with porting, and porting was a real nightmare. But then we found out that it's a nightmare everywhere. So because porting is just not great. It's not easy. It's hard to get a good standard go live date. Like, when is the port going to happen? You know, all the back end connections that happen like at the Twilio level, and some things can't be ported to Twilio numbers, you know, and like architecturally because reasons or whatever. But yeah, for us, like, our companies have these numbers that have been on the side of their trucks for like ever, right? So it's super important to be able to handle that. And a lot of our customers are using things like CallRail, which allows them to do attribution of phone numbers. So if they call this phone number, it forwards to your phone number, and then it tells you like what lead source that came from via different phone numbers. So they give you these things called like number pools. So being able to utilize things like CallRail, and along with having native SMS and MMS inside of HubSpot, would be really, really nice, especially with like a lot of calling integrations don't support the activity logging of SMS messages to multiple objects very well, right? The best one I found so far is sales message, but having that ability to be able to use SMS and MMS is going to be a blocker for us. So I think a long time ago, I've talked with different calling team members, and you know, the team said like, yeah, porting is important, but we want to be able to like earn your port, and your port makes sense to bring here because you need to have the functionality you need to have before we even want to focus time and effort on porting, right? Totally makes sense. Yeah, our roofers though, they need their legacy numbers, that's for sure, because they're out there in the world and in their communities.
One point I do want to double back on, you mentioned SMS, obviously the combined functionality with SMS and the voice capabilities of that line. How, I don't know, also gauging how many other customers are impacted from that. Like, even if the porting availability that we do have right now is for US. However, if you already have like the SMS set up with our other marketing feature, that's not a combined number. So I'm just trying to what's the pain point there with anyone? I didn't put it in the chat, but if that is a blocker, like the SMS and the voice being the same line from you.
Yeah, for us, it's very, very important to be able to have, like, say, the messaging, the SMS and the MMS messaging come from the rep who's assigned to the HubSpot user property. So like, let's say we have a home inspection that we're going to go do. We want the actual human that's going to come, you know, if I had my voice changer, I'd do the George B. Thomas humans, you know, as he does it. But I didn't have that set up. I wasn't prepared. Anyway, yeah. So if we do the rep who's actually on their way to, say, a home services appointment, right? We're going to do an inspection on your roof. It's coming from the phone number of the person who's going to go climb on your roof. So you can actually text message them if there's a problem instead of some shared number. And then the customer experience just goes down the tank because it goes to a support team and they have no idea where this person is because the stuff isn't all completely integrated, right? So it's very important for those workflow automations to deal with user-based SMS and call routing and like send as this person, which a lot of like sales message really does well. I would say take some stuff from their playbook if you're going to be trying to model things, especially with SMS and MMS.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that use case. That's super
Absolutely.
helpful to kind of dig into the functionality there. So I'll dig into porting just to like, I'll detail everything at the end as far as the roadmap of where we are for the manual side and for US-based numbers. But one other thing that kind of sparked, and I want to move to the jumping around here, but as far as like measuring the impact of business, this is for everyone. Chad mentioned lead sourcing and being able to see that based off of that ported number, or even if it's not a ported number, let's say it's a new HubSpot number that you generate. I want to kind of dig into like, what are the key metrics that you all are using to measure performance of your teams right now, how you're doing that in whatever calling tool that you're using. I'd love to hear a little bit more about those specific metrics and how you're using them, what the key ones are. You could throw it in the chat or raise your hand. I know talking about data is always fun, so excited. Leads to deals, okay.
Or, I mean, Sarah, I don't know if this is helpful, but if you don't currently have a way of measuring these key metrics, what would ideal metrics look like? What would you like to see?
Okay, that's interesting. We just have to look at call outcome. Okay, I love to dig into call outcome as well. That's a big one. I have a whole nother like call that I want to do around call outcome versus call status. I really want to dig into that a lot more with customers. Creating calls as leads and associating leads. Okay, so kind of as we suspect, leads to calls to leads or calls to tickets, close deals, close tickets for sales and supports teams. Also export all call outcomes. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of call outcomes. Is the call outcomes usually that's usually with more sales driven teams? But I'm curious. I don't know the mix of everyone's business. I don't think we got full clarity on that part. Calls by time of day, a week, length. Okay, awesome. Okay, thanks for mixing those in. So circling back to the other question as far as growth, and it's a little out of order, but given that a lot of your team sounds like they're already using a third party or their teams haven't fully migrated over to HubSpot because they're a larger team. We know with things with AI this year and the way that scale is happening across different industries, I'd be curious to hear like how you all envision growth with some of your call teams. If they're not a call center, like they don't have to be specifically that large, but how are you anticipating the growth of your teams or your call operations in the next year? And what can we do? Like, what would you like to see ideally from HubSpot calling as a platform to be able to account for that growth, or what functionalities would you need? And I think, Francis is in the chat as well. Francis is our senior PM on calling. I don't know if he's asking that specifically to someone or if he's asking reporting on data. Please make call types mandatory. Okay, I see this. Yeah, call types for reporting, extending the call object, auto dialer. We get auto dialer a lot on the roadmap. Releasing the call object, flexibility of the call object. Okay, so it sounds like call object structure is a big piece, along with the ability for auto dialer, inbound calling, splitting column. Okay. And voicemail drops. Okay, so voicemail drops, power auto dialer. These are consistently coming up. Customization of the call object is a big piece. So it sounds like those are the big pieces that are preventing teams from doing like operational scaling inside of HubSpot. If I'm reading that correctly. I don't know. I would top about in the call. Okay. So a lot of auto dialer feedback. That makes sense. We'll cover that a little bit towards the end when we're going over the roadmap. That is something that is on the roadmap for the power dialer piece. We're very aware of like the necessity for that, not only for sales teams mostly, but just being able to have that option queued up. Also with voicemail drops, I know that's been in the community for years now of trying to figure out how to get that live to customers. We worked on the customization of voicemail first, but we'll circle back to that. That is still on the roadmap, but I don't have an ETA on that. Inside the dialer, yeah, you have a voicemail. Okay, call-based workflows. Got it. Okay. Just reading through some of these comments. Let me go to the next set of questions. Just being conscious of time. I think this could lead to a lot of feedback here. Kind of an open question around AI. So, just giving you a very brief preview of what we have in the works for AI. Currently working on some voice bot functionality that'll be plugged into IVR. So there's an AI component there. with Q&A. So we're working on that. We also have call summaries, which is already live, and then next best actions, which is going to expand on that. And then there's some other capabilities we're looking to plug in as well with AI features for call data. But I'd love to hear if anyone's using any like AI specific features in your other calling tools, or what AI specific capabilities would you like to see in HubSpot regarding our calling features. Sentiment analysis, call summary with action items outlined. Yes. So yeah, next best actions is something we are working on actively, Bethany. It's actually in a beta right now, but we're looking on expanding on that. That comes up quite often using AI parallel being. Okay. Sentiment analysis is a very big one. I know that's across the board, just in general with all, not just really relegated to calling, but that's definitely something we definitely want to work on. I guess a double down on that. Are there key things you'd like to see in sentiment analysis? I know a lot of the feedback we get is like just replicate it like Gong. But I'd like to know more specifically, like what key things are you trying to pull out of that analysis? If you want to expand on that, chat, or if anyone else has any feedback. Concerned about sharing data with OpenAI. Okay. Well, Courtney, that's interesting. I don't know if you want to expand on that, or if you want to share more about the privacy concerns with it. She's open to hopping on.
Courtney, I'm giving you the option to unmute and come on, but no pressure if you don't actually want to.
No pressure. I was very curious. No, I think you're on mute if you are going to share. If not, I can move. I can move on again. No pressure.
Christoph, I'm curious about this checklist object, what that would look like, where that would live.
I don't know if he's hopped on. Okay. Look for these things that are also with the discovery call type and score them out of 5. That's interesting as well, Waylon. So summary. Okay. Looking at key properties, I'm assuming, Waylon, and oh, gotcha. Okay. So score the calls based off of that. Tag calls. Okay. I got it, Courtney. I'm gonna follow up with that. I don't know if Francis's question is fully being, but when it comes to interacting with AI features in HubSpot, what are some thoughts around conversational interface? That's an open question for anyone as well. Okay, I'm seeing a lot around the privacy piece, just being able to expand on that. And whether we're going to use your data to better train our models, that piece we can expand on. Okay.
Just in general, sorry to take the focus away just a minute, but we've created a website behindhubspotai.com where you can see how AI models are trained and what third parties we're working with. I'm dropping in a link to the specific one for call summaries, but it's a good website to just explore and get a lot of questions answered.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So privacy concerns with AI, but also call sentiment, and then more of giving a summarization of the types of calls, scoring them automatically. I think we've mentioned something similar to what Waylon suggested, but am I missing any other AI capabilities you'd expect to see, or any other feedback anyone else has there? Cool. I'm gonna keep it moving. Go through the questions, and then I'm sure we're gonna have a ton of additional questions when we kind of go through the roadmap. AI helpers listen to call, advise on next steps. This is very interesting, James. This has come up before from over a co-pilot type of setup, so definitely notate that. Okay. All right, that makes sense. Awesome. So I'm going to move from AI over to integrations to make sure we're covering all of our calling functionality capabilities. Everyone has pretty much mentioned that they are either working with a third party, or they have a partner or a client that's worked with a third party. So I'd love to dig a little bit more into specific calling integrations that you currently rely on, or that you have tried to navigate to HubSpot calling and had to move back to another one. I'd like to hear specifically like what you're using and what they offer that you all had to use the third party for that HubSpot's not currently enabling. Or again, if it's not even a competitive thing, when you look at like AirCall, who is a strategic partner of ours, what is working well with that integration with HubSpot calling, and what would you like to see to better enable that integration? So that's a 2-part question. I'm happy to break it down. Okay. And then Chad, I forgot which integration you said you were using. True. Okay. Got it. Okay. Any other integration users? I know there were quite a few in there that, just what's not working with the integration. I think someone else mentioned in the chat. I'd have to go back through. They had an integration that wasn't working well. Kixie's come up. Okay. Actually, our new PM, we have a new senior PM who's on the calling team actually has a background. They came from RingCentral, so I'm excited for us to continue to work on that, Christy, and expand that integration and that partnership. I know they've come up before with some issues. Is it just quality performance issues that you're seeing with integration, or are there like actual functionalities you'd like to see us enable between HubSpot and RingCentral? Bubble. I'm not familiar with Bubble, Jay. Integrate with Mattel system. Okay. You're calling Sakari. Got it. Okay. Thank you, Christy. Massive payment. Okay. Got it. Cloud Talk as well. Okay. I'm hearing RingCentral consistency again. Features in a part of general app. Okay. And is there anyone that's just using that's using like our APIs, like custom built things, and not using any of our integration partners? Is anyone on the call that's doing that? Or yes, just the calling SDK. Yeah, Chad. Okay. Okay. All right. So it looks like I'm getting some consistent feedback as far as like RingCentral has come up quite a bit, and looks like call quality connection. I could talk this via API. Okay, custom objects and Twilio integration, the default with Twilio Connect. Okay, and Cloud Talk came up with EU capabilities, so we'll take a look at that. Okay, got it. Okay, awesome. Sorry, just trying to keep up in the comments. This is good feedback for us to kind of notate and figure out with some of these partnerships, and kind of get a sense of what you're currently using. So just continuing in that train as far as capabilities that aren't in the system for integrations, kind of one of the last things I want to uncover from everyone is, are there specific call features that you believe would improve your customer satisfaction with your teams using calling? And then the second part is the biggest challenges that your teams are facing in your day-to-day calling operations. So again, it doesn't have to be specific to something you face when using HubSpot calling, but what are the kind of those key things and those key areas that are limiting your customer satisfaction or limiting your operations with calling? Frank, I'm looking at your comment too. I'll take a look at that. I don't know if anyone wants to share their feedback on the calling needs or what you think would improve. Obviously, a go-to would be like, hey, like let's put CSAT inside of HubSpot calling. That is something on the roadmap. That could be like key number one, but specifically like any features that 100% like your customer satisfaction would improve if we offer this with HubSpot calling. Sending the CSAT, yeah, that's we talked through that. We're getting that. It's on the roadmap. We're working through functionality of it now. But yeah, that's something we definitely want to get as soon as possible. One-to-one SMS, okay, SMS. Microsoft Teams, that part I'll have to take a look at. I know there's a split of the functionality of it. So yeah, I'll have to take a look at that as far as callback options. A lot of SMS. So I feel like the winners of the feedback here are custom objects, voicemail drop, auto dialer, and SMS. I feel like those are those the 4 takeaways that I'm gauging correctly? Porting, sorry, forgot the key one. Top 5. I feel like that's the top 5 to enable your teams. Yeah, porting, SMS, auto dialer, voicemail drops, and then custom objects. Obviously, privacy concerns as well. We'll take a look at some of those with some of the AI components. So that's completely understandable. Requirements for us to consider. Okay, I'm interested, Adam. If you are open to hopping on, what's the mix of your team? Because I just want to confirm kind of the assumptions we have around voicemail drops and SMS. Like, is it mostly sales driven? Like, what's your customer base and what industry? No pressure. You can throw it in the chat, Adam.
All right.
And Peter, yeah, I know the split of the inbound outbound calls, that's come up quite a bit. If anyone else has that feedback as well, please throw that in the chat for the different call recording functionalities. If everyone is not aware, right now call recording is all or nothing. It encompasses both directions when you enable it. To clarify, voicemail drops is the ability to leave a pre-recorded voicemail and have your rep make outbound calls and drop those voicemails to users. You don't want to contact prospects in the call apps that only produce a transcript, but also use AI score call center to see. Okay. Yeah, that's great feedback, Frank. 95% outbound calling. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just want to confirm our assumptions of the voicemail drop needs and how those teams are structured. So that makes sense. Heavy outbound. Okay. SMS. Okay, continue to leave comments and feedback in the chat. I do want to hop to any of the Q&A questions that weren't answered before hopping into the roadmap. So fully answering your question, Chad, initially, when is porting going to be an option? So currently right now, there's a manual solution for US only numbers. If that is of interest or something that you need or one of your customers, your clients need, let me know. I'm happy to share. I don't even know how they can get my email address, Kyle, but I'm happy to share my email address and send you over the information. It's basically a beta. We would send that information over to you. The customer would do their CSR and LOA form. And then from there, it would be a manual process for us to go in, submit the application, and then Twilio would start the porting. But again, it is US-based only customers. We're not able to expand on international at this time. We're continuing to build out the actual UI in the platform and finishing up the APIs. But in the meantime, we're happy to unblock anyone that needs to move over with porting. So if that answers the porting question, that's the partial answer to it right now. It's available, US-based manual. You just need to make sure connecting with me, and then I'll see out that process for yourself or your clients. Other questions? Want to run through these? Sorry. Can you provide insights on SMS and MMS with HubSpot? I don't have any clarity on that, Chad. I'll likely tag in with Eric, who's the PM overseeing the SMS side. I think I can get you some better answers there as far as how that works with workflows. Also, Chad, voicemail drops. It has been on the community page for quite some time. I know I'm a part of that page. I get tagged in it quite often. I don't have an ETA of like when that is going to be available. I know we wanted to work on just the customization of voicemails and everything first, and also some recording settings. But it is still on the roadmap, just back a bit as far as when we'd be able to deliver it. But it is something we continually look at and try to figure out priority for voicemail drops. Let me know if that answers those 3 questions, Chad. Awesome, cool. And then moving on through the rest of the Q&A, there was a question around number availability. So Michael, we do currently have Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It's in public beta. You can go into your account right now and join the beta. And then you can acquire numbers for those countries. You just have to have business documentation. So it is for local number types only. It's not for individuals. But yeah, you can go in right now and opt in for those countries and submit your documentation all inside of HubSpot. Michael, video, are you asking about video recording? I'm assuming, Michael Wilson. I don't know if he can hop on. Is Michael still here? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if Michael's still on. I'm assuming you're asking about video calling. That is on the roadmap as well, just exploring what that looks like. But I'd love to dig a little bit more into the call intelligence part of it and what specifically. I want to make sure I'm on the right track with your question. So if you are still here, Michael, or feel free to follow up. Yes, it's on the roadmap, no specifics, but I'd love to dig more into what your team needs for video calling as we're starting to draft that out. And then the last one, Jay, transfer calls to non-HubSpot numbers in the future with teams who aren't in HubSpot. I have a follow-up question on this, Jay. I don't know if you're able to hop on or throw it in the chat. Are you using a current IVR system? Like, are your calls routed through IVR and then you transfer out, or do your teams use extensions? Jay may not be here either. Okay.
Mute's on the bottom left.
Oh, is it? Okay. So we have transfers that are close to beta, I believe, right now. We're doing transfers right now in a beta form, but as far as being able to transfer out, that's not there yet. But essentially, kind of answer your question in 2 parts. We are working on the ability to dial out from our IVR feature. So if you haven't exported IVR yet, it's basically our call routing system for sales and service enterprise users. You can go in, set up your call routing, and then eventually in our next phase, we'd like the ability for you to dial out to an extension, dial out to another number. Now, as far as transferring from in between rep to rep, that's in beta right now. And then being able to transfer to another outside person, that would be similar to dialing out. So I don't have a full ETA on that yet, but it is something we are definitely open to exploring, Jay. So I'd love to talk more with you as well about specifically what you need for that and how your teams are using your routing. Cool. I don't know. I'll go ahead and throw, maybe it just makes it easier just to go ahead and throw my email in the chat. Because I don't know how much access I'll have to everyone who was an attendee if I'll have access to the list, but I'll throw my email in there. Feel free to go ahead and tag that, Jay, and Michael, if you're still on the call. I'd love to talk to you more about the video calling. Cool. I'll stop there. I know there's a lot of questions, a lot of different feedback, trying to filter through. If there's anything else anyone wants to leave feedback on as far as your team calling usage and your self-service teams, if not, then I'm going to hop into the roadmap a bit more. Oh yeah, I don't know with Bevy chat. Can you please leave feedback in the survey? Oh, it's like this. Okay, sorry. Awesome. So let me move on to the last slide. Being cognizant of time. All right. So all of the questions as far as what you're currently using, how you'd like to see it being used, and what's on the roadmap. So we just expanded a little bit on porting, what's to come with video calling and transfers. Other pieces that we're working on includes bringing in contact center into help desk. So again, what's live right now is the calling app functionality. So if you have AirCall, you're able to go in, engage yourself, and connect your AirCall integration to inbound calling in the help desk. That's going to expand into other calling apps later throughout the year and on throughout 2025. So Just Call, Kixi, all of our other calling partners that are going to be on board would also have that functionality. The other side of that is like contact center. So contact center integrations like Genesis, we're looking to bring them on board and have that same functionality enabled in help desk with their calling experience. So that's also on the roadmap, getting those two moving. AI assistant. So again, a lot of AI functionality is across the board, something we're continuing to work on, new ideas, improving functionality. So one aspect of that is going to be with next action. So again, we have the call summary tab where you can click on it, get a quick summary of the transcript. From there, we'd like to improve the AI functionalities with next best actions on that and all of your post-call data. Also, international number expansion. So as we just mentioned in the previous Q&A, we have Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Mexico, Brazil, New Zealand. Those currently went to public beta a couple of weeks ago. Our next focus is to expand on France, Japan, and Denmark. Those have a little bit more complex documentation requirements, but those will be the ones we'll focus on next, and then continuing to expand on other countries. I know there's a long list in the community that everyone wants to solve for. So if you have any, you can also throw them in the chat as well, or on that community page. We're just continuing to knock those list of countries out. So also for outbound as well, I know that there's some other countries that people want to be able to dial out to. So we're continuing to evaluate those at all times. The other piece is omni-channel. So just looking at skills-based routing comes up quite a bit. So not only in the IVR system, but just in general, skills-based routing options when you have team calling, additional ring types, because right now, the way that you are rung, if you have a calling channel on inbox or help desk, is a simultaneous ring. We'll ring up to 100 reps. So it's definitely solving for your teams, your large teams. But we also get continuous feedback that people want to have more of a round robin or next available ring type. So continue to expand on those and look into those solutions, as well as things like call queues, longest idle. Yeah, so everything, figuring those out for call queues is what we want to do and continue to expand on the omni-channel experience there. Awesome. Yeah, and then phone number reporting, just expanded on that. Again, very excited. I threw my email in there. So just let us know if we can solve for any of the US pieces, and the international we'll be taking a look at after we go live with the US portion. And then the other pieces are call data. So I know we talked a little bit about what you all kind of use your key metrics for, how you use reporting for your teams. So we're continuing to expand on call analytics page, also what insights you need to see inside of help desk for your team. So what spaces are you using as managers? Actually, I want to pause there because I didn't ask that question. I'm assuming most of your roles are manager-led and you are doing a lot of the setup. Curious, like what spaces you're primarily working in. And when I say spaces, are you on the call index page when you log in? Are you on the contact page? Are you on the call review page? Like what areas are you primarily looking at for your teams to evaluate their data and their performance? Dashboards, okay, yeah. Is the box also dashboards, Tobias, or is that something else? I don't know what that. No worries. Okay. Dashboards is interesting. That makes sense. A lot of your first login is your custom built dashboard. Okay. So yeah, so exploring different areas to put that data right in front of you so you can immediately analyze your calling, your team's performance on their calls. Okay. I think that's Parker. Yes and no. I'll take another look at this though. I know that that's brought up when we launched the unified events into workflows earlier last year. But I'll take a look. I know as far as like additional workflow actions has come up quite a bit. So that's something we'll definitely need to circle back to. Dashboards with calls and contacts. Oh, interesting. If you don't mind, is it David? Can you expand on using reports in Excel? Are you exporting reports from HubSpot, or you're like creating your own custom reports due to lack of data?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So for traceability, we ask our sales reps to enter their calls in an Excel to make sure that this match actually what's on the dashboard. So yes, it is a bit of a double work. Like this, we can track also the reachability of the calls, because at the moment we are a bit struggling also with reachability and with the different call tags. So in an Excel, it's much easier to do this.
Got it. That's interesting. And is it that you're saying the actual like outbound calls that they're placing, you're not able to tag them as you would like in HubSpot, so that's why you want to use the Excel sheet, or is it just?
Yeah,
Okay.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to chat with you more about that. Anything we can do to kind of eliminate a double process, especially if it's something as like simple as creating a new call property or whatever that missing piece is. I'd love to hear a little bit more if you're open to hopping on a call.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you a message then. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, correct, Chad. It does not work for third party right now for unified events. That's another thing we have to circle back and iterate on. Right now, it was just first party for those events. So that is a known limitation. But yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Bethany, you also export calls, call volume by week. Interesting. Do you mind having on like very quickly, Bethany? Explain it. I'm always curious, like anytime you have to go outside of HubSpot to do your analysis, we want to fix that like as soon as possible. No worries, no worries. Yeah, if you don't mind as well, Bethany, my email in there, I'd love to like hear a little bit more about that process. Even if you don't want to hop on a call, just like kind of expanding on what that export process is. Yeah, we can talk through some solutions and like what our call data looks like. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, awesome. Sorry. Jumping over to the last part of like calling product roadmap. AI, again, AI agents and voice bots, again, big focus here. I'm super excited for when we reach the point where we have voice bots integrated with IVR. That's going to be the first iteration of it. And what it's going to enable your teams to do is have basically two processes for an IVR. So you have the voice capability, and then you'll have the touch tone capability, which is pretty common with most of your day-to-day uses. If you call Apple or any other Macy's, anybody else, you call in and you're going to have that ability to be routed. And we want to make sure that we have the most advanced Q&A experience for your users. And so that's what VoiceBots is going to be doing in this first phase of it. And just allowing you to have different options to have more of an AI fully integrated routing experience with your team. So that's kind of the last part of where we're focused right now for the roadmap. Again, dates vary here, but this is kind of the main focus for 2024, obviously not excluding SMS and all the other things that you all have mentioned as far as roadblocks, custom objects. So those are all things we'll continue to expand on and dig a little bit more into. I'll stop there. Yes, I'm happy to share this slide. I'll take out the questions that were in the middle and I'll share these two pieces to you, to everyone. Again, the dates are subject to change, just keeping that in mind, but definitely we'll share this with everyone.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Sarah, for coming. Everyone, thanks so much for participating. I'll be exporting out the chat and Q&A and sharing that with Sarah and her team. So if any of your questions didn't get answered, they will be seeing them, and you are all free to reach out to Sarah directly. So with that, we're gonna call it a day. Thanks so much for being here, and hope to see you all back next week.